Hello, guys. Welcome to the CPL podcast. I'm here with my good friend Sombra. May you introduce yourself, man?
Oh, um, people know me as Sombra, and it doesn't have to do anything with the Overwatch character. It's just a Spanish word for shadow that I chose for myself way before Overwatch ever came to become a game. Um, I'm just your regular middle-aged guy. Uh, Graduated from a master's degree in computing science and have an Mexican engineering degree, basically.
Hey, man, I thought you were a lot younger, man. I thought you were you sound a lot younger than you are, man.
Yeah, no, I am 30 years old.
Hey, man. Age is nothing but a number in Draft League, right?
Age is,
And Pokemon in general.
age is nothing but a number, exactly.
All right, man. I wanted to ask you about your Draft League experience. Like, how far back have you? When did you first start? And question of the sort.
Actually, it was not very that far away. I started in 2019. When I came here to study to Canada, I joined the Pokemon Club, the university I was studying at, and that's my how I got into draft. It's pretty funny.
What was the format? Was it like because 2019 was Sword and Shield still, right? No,
No, I actually
it was Sun and Moon.
I played Sun and Moon draft Nat decks. Yeah,
Wasn't it always Natix though? Until the Switch games.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's always been Nat decks. Although I did play some other formats like Halloween draft and kind of other things, but mostly Nat decks. Yeah.
Ooh, Halloween draft seems fun. What does that entail, man?
We were restricted to only use certain Halloween themed Pokemon, like mostly all ghost types, some poison types, and some other that fit the theme, basically.
That seems fun, man. But what kept you in draft for now 4 years?
Well, I always liked Pokemon. Honestly, I played Pokemon in the university. I was one of those weird guys who would sit in the community center with their 3DS and would play Pokemon matches, like using local connections to play against my friends. We also played other games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering. But when I got here to Canada and I did my first draft, I felt like it was a whole different experience because I was limited, but also everyone was limited. So it was learning to adapt to use what you have and make it work. And that I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people's best draft league experiences come like earlier on or like when they're in a league where they're like other like newer players. I think that's like when draft league is the most fun for most people.
Yeah, I actually enjoy more the process of drafting than actually playing the season. Funny thing.
Yeah, I mean prepping a lot of the time can just be a lot of like busy work, like you calcing and like finding the right EVs. Even like speed creeping can take a long time. Just like they're gonna be like agility. I need to bring like a scarf set with this much IVs or something.
Honestly, some
It can be kind of a hassle.
yeah, and sometimes I don't even like go to think that hard. I mostly like speed creep and try to do something and hope that it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then mid-season, like in certain seasons, when I'm mid-season and I know that I probably have no competitive chance to actually make playoffs, I wouldn't say give up, but I don't put as much effort anymore.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like a lot of people are like that, right? Like if you have like no chance of making a playoffs, you kind of like throw in the towel. You just put like basic sets and call
I
it a
wouldn't say
day.
I would put basic sets. Sometimes I would bring something interesting like Choice Spec Smell Tank, but just like not exactly trolling, but not exactly being serious either.
Yeah, like or you just bring something funny just to be like a little bit more funny,
Yep,
you know?
like one time I did not win a match, but I managed to fire spin perish song someone with an Altaria, so that was funny.
Yeah, I think like when you're losing a lot and like it's like low like the end of the season, you just bring out like the craziest sets. You just try to bring like the most fire sets, even though they're probably not gonna work, but they're still pretty fun to bring.
Yeah, for sure. Although I have never been in a spot where I'm like super dominating that I can just bring a fun set to a match because I'm always like clinching the playoffs, something like that. I've never won a league before. I've mostly got into semifinals.
It definitely gets hard, man. I don't really blame you there. Yeah, it's just like when you just like in like tougher drafts, like there's a lot of good players too that are really great at building and drafting. And like you said, you're more of a drafter, and sometimes that can play a disadvantage for you because the battles can be maybe not harder, but like just more like tedious for you to play through.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm a good drafter. I just like drafting. I most of the time I have to ask for help for some of the more knowledgeable players like S or Bayram or even Necro.
Yeah, I mean it's always good to ask for help. I mean, like even like 4 years, like the like that's not even that much compared to other people, you know. Like some people have been like playing draft league since it like was created, basically like what like Gen 6 mostly. I think I want to say like, that's a lot. That's a lot of
True.
time.
And
Um,
I have played competitives in Gen 4, but I do have to admit that I did not play Gen 5 at all. And in Gen 4, I was mostly using mono water teams, and it was a pain in the ass um, to actually breed a Pokemon, so I kinda genned because at that time you could gen the Pokemon with Game Shark, and I would make the Pokemon with legal sets and legal EVs and everything that I wanted to use, and use that to play online. Because online was not as restricted as it is right now.
yeah, you can back in the DS days, you could just bring like anything, right? Like it didn't really
Oh,
matter. You could bring like legendaries,
but yeah,
mythicals. Well, maybe not
back in the
mythicals.
day, the amount
Oh,
of Wonder Guard Spiritombs that I met was incredible. And you have to remember that back then fairies were not a thing, so they had no weaknesses.
well, you're technically wrong. What about scrappy fighting types or foresight
Wouldn't
fighting
hit
type
over. They wouldn't hit over
moves?
Wonder Guard.
Really? Man, that's I thought it did, but maybe I might be mistaken though. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a thing, and I did at that time and got frustrated, and I had my own Wonder Guard Spiritomb to play against the hackers. But I mostly stuck with my water team, which was, if I remember correctly, it was Lapras, Milotic, Feraligatr, Gyarados, I think Gastrodon and Wishcash or something like that. Pretty fun to play.
Hey, that seems like a great Gen 14. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. So
But
yeah,
and So you said you started playing Gen 4 on like the DS, right? I was just wondering when did you enter or start playing on Showdown? Was it like Gen 6, or was it like Gen 7 when you became more into competitive Pokemon as a whole? Well, with that league specifically.
I started to play competitive Pokemon, like really focusing on EV training and breeding when Gen 6 came out. I bought a 3DS at that time just to play the new X and Y games, and that's where I started playing with my group of university friends and started to becoming more competitive in that sense. But I didn't draft until 4 years ago.
But when did you so when did you find out about Showdown, or when did you start playing in
Showdown
Showdown
specifically, I
specifically?
started playing at the same time that X and Y came out, so it was around Gen 6. And I became a more thorough player when Gen 7 came out.
Yeah, I feel like Gen 7 was a pretty great gen to be into because you had two gimmicks in like the same game, and I don't think that's ever gonna happen again. Like that's like having like Terra crystals and the next Gen 10 gimmick or something. Megas and Sea crystals were in there. You had like Sea crystal captains and stuff like that for that
It was a
specifically.
really chaotic time because of that. Because you had to prepare for a mega, and you didn't know which thing was gonna carry a sea crystal. And then there were other, like the super broken megas that they added for Pokemon that they didn't need a mega, and they had made them to have a mega. That was kind of insane and really unfair.
Like Mega
Yeah,
Salamence,
like
man, or what's another
Mega
like Horas?
Salamence, Mega Latios, Mega Latias, Mega Mega Rayquaza. Um,
The Primals too, man. What were they doing in
um,
Oras, man?
they were drunk probably.
And then Sea crystals were even nut nuttier like Gen 5 like
Yeah.
gems, you know. It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But so you've been drafting and playing draft league since Generation 7. Is there any Pokemon that you've grown like attached to in that time frame, like that you always try to draft, or like if you need like a maybe like a lower point mon that it's just like your Glumon or something like that?
Um. Actually, I started drafting Miltank, and I tried to for like 2 or 3 years. I did try to like have Miltank always in my teams. Nowadays, if it fits in my I have some extra points, and if it's in my plans, I'll grab Miltank. Sometimes I will snag um, Masquerain. Also played with Dunsparce for a little while. I kind of have a thing for normal types.
There's a lot of good normal types out there. They get overshadowed a lot, but they're still
There are
good.
a lot of very good normal types, and people forget that Scrappy is a thing.
Yeah, I feel like Scrappy's like the only thing about it was like Megalopony. And yeah, I think that's about it. Like I don't think anything else really
Alright,
runs
and
Scrappy
Miltank.
like that.
It's great for countering ghosts, but ghosts cannot touch you.
And that's what I was gonna go into because you're the Monterey Milk Tanks, right? In like most leagues, I think in every league actually that I've seen you in, you've been repping Monterey Milk Tanks. And I was gonna ask you like, how did you grow so attached to Milk Tank?
It was basically because I I drafted one time, and I actually did a lot of things people don't. I was surprised on how versatile it was for the league. And I'm sorry if I'm a little quiet, but my partner is asleep, so I kind of don't want to wake
You're all
I
good,
was
man. You're all
surprised by how
good.
versatile it is. You've seen the video that I sent you of my compilation of Milk Tank shenanigans, uh, and I
Yeah.
kind of got attached. Actually, the name of my team was gonna be Monterey Monfernos, but back then in the University Pokemon Club, there was already a Monfernos team, and I felt bad for snagging the same team name. So that's why I chose Smeltanks, because I come from basically the Texas of Mexico.
Yeah. You're a
I
cowboy,
wouldn't say
man.
myself as a cowboy, but my dad is kind of like a cowboy. He was born in a rural area.
Yeah, I feel like that's the like the stereotype, right? Like everybody that's like in Mexico or like in Texas or in like Arizona are like just cowboys, but even if they're like in rural areas, they
Yeah,
still do like
yeah,
other
for
stuff,
sure.
you know?
That's kind of the thing, and um, yeah, and that's how I started to get attached with Meltank, because I did good on one season with it. I did plenty of things, and it kind of fit the roles that I needed. I needed like I needed a tank and I needed a cleric, and Milton can do both of them, but people also forget that Milton has a base speed of 100 and has an incredible attack stat.
Yeah, the stats from like Tank are very underrated and like overlooked. Like cause like 95 HP, 105 defense, and 70 special defense is not nothing when it comes to bulky, you know? Like that's really good bulk, especially for like a draft league Pokemon. That's like a lot of the numbers might be
Exactly,
like
and you have
less
to also
tanky.
remember right now, I was checking the stats of Rayquaza. Miltank is faster than a Rayquaza if it wanted to.
Yeah, and it has a really good move
It
pool
has an
too,
incredible
like
move
almost
pool. It
normal type.
has cleric options. It has hazards. It has a lot of moves that you would ask why. It even has block, block body press. Yeah, Ice
Blizzard.
Punch, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Surf.
Yeah, a lot of good. Like it even gets like play rough for like the fighting types. I mean,
Yeah,
just
and
amazing stuff, man.
that's how I got really used into using Miltank, and it kind of became my mascot, and to the point that I recently drafted for B-Ram's low tier league. Because why not?
Hey, because you mentioned the SGBL, the first episode's guest, right? I was wondering if you could go
Oh,
over
for
like why
sure.
you drafted certain mons.
In which one of the two?
The lower league
To
one. I mean, the
be
lower tier
completely
one.
honest, to the lower tier one, I had no idea what I was doing. Like I said, I like drafting, uh, but I'm not a good drafter. And the first thing was I saw Gallade, and I've used Gallade before. Sharpness gave it a very big boost, and I've run physically defense sets with Recycle, and it can be a very versatile and very strong mon. Then the reason why I grabbed Cyclizar is because the moderator for the low tier league was surprised that no one drafted it, and I just snatched it because I didn't even think about it. I just snatched it. Has very good support. It has been very good for me in a speed tour that I'm doing in HBF, Home Battle Frontier, which is an insurgents league, and it's a spinner. It has good has very good utility moves and a very nice move pool, so I thought why not and make it work. Then Milk Tank. I needed a tank, I needed hazards, I needed a cleric, and I needed my mascot. And because it's a low tier league, it can do a lot of things, and I wouldn't want anyone to grab my mascot. Then for the next ones, initially I had snatched Superior because I got 6-0'd by a Superior before, and I kinda wanted to give back that experience to someone. But to be honest, as I continued my draft, I realized that Superior was not gonna do a lot for my team, and I needed an electric type. So as soon as I saw that Rotomo was free, I decided to make that change to have both a good breaker grass type, but also a good electric type that I could use. Vaporeon is not really that much of a thought. I needed a bulky water type, I needed a cleric, a secondary cleric, and it was not drafted, so why not? And then you might have thought, like, why did you start grabbing like low points Mons next? And the main reason for that is that I needed a steel type, and at that time the good steel types, most of them were gone, and the only ones were left were like Steelix for very high amount of points, so I needed to grab something to put hazards and resist psychic and fairy types, so I grabbed Metang as soon as possible. It has a good move pool, and it can carry Eviolite, so it makes it even bulkier. And then I needed a fairy to complete the Dragon Fairy Steel trio, and because there's not a lot of good fairies in this kind of format, and most of the good fairies are very high points, I needed something that could deal with things, and so I snatched Clefairy because it's strong and it's hard to it's hard to break it with the extra bulk with Eviolite. After that thought, my next month, well, I needed something to complete the fire, water, grass trio, which in that moment was Superior and Vaporeon. Now it's Rotomo and Vaporeon. So I grabbed Magmortar because it was a very nice, cheap fire type that has a lot of utility and a good move pool. And finally, for the last options, my team was looking pretty slow to a sense, and Gallade shines the most with webs. So that's why I grabbed Masquerain, because it was a cheap bug type that could use webs, had Intimidate, can pivot. And after that, if I'm gonna play with webs, I needed a good ground and rock type that could break things. Like massive dummy, we're talking massive dummy thick bulk physically that could like have a lot of strength, so that's why I grabbed Rhyperior. And finally Murkrow was just as I thought. I needed the dark type. It has Prankster, it can set up tailwing, it can toxic things, it can taunt, so figure why not Murkrow. That's the thought process.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty great team. I think, especially compared to a few others. I'm excited to see hopefully you do well. Is this your first low tier draft? Well, I guess it's more like mid tier.
No, I think this is my third or fourth.
This is
I
like your
never
first
do that well
low
in
tier
low tier
draft.
because I kinda overlook what low tier mons do, and I kinda get confident. But I'm pretty sure I can do pretty well in this.
I mean, because we're already in the topic, do you kind of want to hear why I drafted some Pokemon
Oh, for sure.
or
I
not?
want to hear.
It's all up to you, man. I won't be hurt regardless. Because I was planning on making a video, but I think I don't have the time for that, man. I promise, Byron, I was gonna make him a video, but I got sidetracked. Okay, so well, I didn't. I don't have for what I do for drafts. I never have like a logo or a team name like ready like beforehand. I like doing logos
Mm-hmm.
and names after a Pokemon I drafted. But we'll get that. We'll get there when we get there later on. So I first drafted a Skelleridge because first I never used him. I've not played Gen 9 that much. The only experience I have with Gen 9 is with S at her draft league, and even then, most of my team is like Insurgent Mons. So I just got Skelleridge because funny funny crocodile. Plus he gets recovery. Plus it has like unaware and like setup mons. I think are really like prevalent in draft leagues, especially like I think especially when the power level is a little bit lower. It's a little bit easier to set up with like weaker mons. Then I drafted a Tauros Aqua. Um, just because the same thing, but it has intimidate, it has good utility, it has a good typing. Then I got Decidueye because it can be kind of bulky, especially like especially defensive. It's really like tanky for whatever reason. It gets defog and roost, a lot of priority. It gets set up. I mean, there's a lot of good things about Decidueye. Even though I doubled up on ghost types, which is never good, especially with this team because I don't have a dark type. But we'll we'll see how bad it gets when I lose to like the fifth dark type in a row. But then I got Flygon because ground is always good to have, and it's also a dragon type, and I wanted to build the dragon fairy core because I already had the water, fire, grass core done, and it has U-turn, good pivot move, defog, like I said, I think, Bruce, and just like a lot of funny moves too. Like it gets boom burst for whatever reason. Maybe I can do like boom
Flygon is
burst,
one of my
bug buzz,
favorite
special
Pokemon,
like
so I
Flygon or
totally
something. One of
respect
these.
that choice.
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm just hoping to like do a funny boom burst and like hopefully get a kill one of these weeks. Then like next, I originally drafted Escavalier because I needed a steel type. But then during Grace, I saw that Orpheum was still available, and my team is not really like ground weak, but I think it's really good to have like a lot of like resistances and a lot of like immunities to ground. Because Earthquake is just such a good move. So I was like, let me just get Orpheum. Like Earthquake immunity plus recovery is good. It gets spikes, which I still needed. I want another spike setter, and it just gets like body press, coil, a lot of good moves. Then it was Dunsparce, another snake Pokemon. Maybe I have a type, man. Um, and, and another Boom Burst user too. And I was like, funny long snake, Boom Burst, and that's mostly it. But I mean, it gets Stealth Rock too. It gets Roost. And it gets a few other moves that are like interesting. It has a good special move pool as well. So the Dunsparce was the pick. Then I wanted a good spikes and toxic spike setter that was good in utility. So I got Border. It has a really good like attack. Like the gunk shot is gonna hurt like most things, unless you're a steel, of course. Pretty okay move pool, but that's not the main thing you want it for. Like the hazard setting is really great and good to wear down. So I just got that, even though I think it was a little bit too expensive, but I was like, I'm drafting a lot of like mid tier Pokemon. Like he was my second 15 over points Pokemon at that point. I was like, it's fine. Then I chose Slurpuff because Belly Drum, Citrus Berries, Burden is fun. Sometimes Terrain plus a seed is fun. And you could go like Special maybe. It was a Cleric, which I still needed. It's the only one in my team. I think that's like a big downside, but it's still good. It has Wish. Just like good utility, good attacking stats, just like good-ish stats all around. Luxray, I still needed a electric type for cheap, and it's okay. It has Intimidate. It gets Guts. There's like no Terra in this format, but I think like the facades will still hit hard. Yeah, it gets Bolt Switch. Good move pool with Trophies now. It can hit like ground types and like water and like non and like it hit like water ground like a Gastrodon, which was something that was missing because it only had what's it called, Ice Fang. I got Sojourner with 4 points, just because it hits hard. It can run Scarf. Another Stealth Rocker is never bad. And then lastly, I got Grookey because even though I'm not ground weak, because Earth is half Earthquake and Earth Power, I thought maybe the synergy with Skeledirge would be really good. Just because Skeledirge would probably be out there like a lot of the time, and then and it enables the seed of Surplus. If I ever want to bring that. So I mean, a decent little squad. I'm just hoping to bring
sure.
a lot of fun
Sounds
stuff
like
this season.
It definitely sounds.
Is there any team? Is there any team that you're scared of, man? Like
A lot of
that you
them.
just look at, you're like, well, how am I gonna deal with this?
I'm very scared of the Samurott team because I know what Confei can do and I know what Samurott can do. I respect the Dondoso team. I'm also scared of the Mega Pidgeot team with the Bramblegast and Sylveon. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the teams here are like really well drafted. Like you don't have a team that has like, I don't know, like 4 psychic types, like 3 finding types or something like that. Like at most you have like 2 type overlaps,
I
and even
have
then they
two
do
type
different roles.
overlaps. In my case, I have 2 normals and 2 flying, but they do completely different things in my team.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go. I mean, like it's good to have like all unique types sometimes, but having like 2, like if you're against like, I don't know, like a psychic weak team and you have 2 psychic types, that could be really good for you. Like you don't even you
and
can't really
Murkrow
judge
has
like
really
a
high
team
stats
based on
because
that
it didn't
mostly.
have an evolution until Generation 4. So, pretty good Mon.
And then it gets like it gets Haze, it gets Thunder
I think
Wave, Tailwind,
I
even if
think
you
it
want to
has
bring that.
U-turn too.
You did say you have a slower team. Just like a cool pack. Yeah, just a good utility there. Do you want to talk about the other division you're
Well,
in the SGPL
I
or
can
Byron and
quickly go
Adams League,
through
or
it, but
not really?
basically, I'm excited for that league, but
Of
also
Insurgents.
I'm scared of most of the teams there because all the teams are really scary. Like allowing Mega for Alligator and Volcarona D is putting me on like a very precarious position, but also I have a very strong draft, like weirdly strong. So
Yeah, like even you just having like
with
Ruin Growth
Chandelure
and like
Delta
Mega Eevee,
having
it's just like
access
crazy stuff
to
from what I hear.
our Moonblast Terra Fairy, it just clicks a delete button. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm wishing you luck on both divisions. Do you
Sure.
want to run through your team though? I mean, we already mentioned a
Thought
few, but
process. Like if I
maybe
go
you want to
quickly,
talk about
the
your
first
thought
Pokemon
process.
that I drafted is Raingross. Raingross Metagross Ruin. And the main reason I drafted is it was round 11, it was not drafted. How am I gonna let that go? Like, it's an absurdly stupid mon that is relatively fast and just hit things really hard. Then, when it came back to me, Chandelure Delta was also undrafted, and it's one of the mons that in HPF or in S Draft League, they immediately get taken over. So I grabbed that, and then round 3 Mega Eevee was still not drafted, so why not? It gives me a lot of versatility on what I'm doing. Then because Torterra was gone, and because Regirock and Regice were gone, I drafted Mug Delta, and after like talking to Theb and Necro, decided that the best core to have, the best defensive core, would be Muk Delta, Milotic Delta, and Crobat to have a poison type that's quite bulky and fast to help with my speed tiers. Then Alolan Persian was to have a dark type that could resist Fairy and was also really fast for cheap. And then I needed, my team was weak to ice, so I needed a steel type that could resist ice. So that's why I grabbed Tinkaton. And that acts more of a support role. And then I had a few points left and I needed more versatility. So how am I gonna say no to a Grotle Delta that is really strong? And I need a grounded poison type, so that's why I grabbed Whirlipede. And with the existence of Corrode, there's no reason why not grab it.
Uh, Maybe if I was wondering if you could like expand on like maybe because some people might not know so what the insurgents or mega Pokemon that are insurgents do. Do you want to just do like a quick rundown of like all the deltas you have,
Okay,
like
so
basically all your
Metagross
members
Ruin
aside
is a
from
grass
Crobat,
rock
Alolan
type
Persian, and
Rockhead.
Tinkaton,
It
and Whirlipede.
it has an insane stat of, and also has sturdy if needed, but has an insane attack stat of 135 and 130 defense with 95 with a 90 special defense and 70 speed. It has Staff, Woodhammer, and Rockhead. Choice banding that thing, nothing can withstand 2 hits. Nothing can switch into Metagross Ruin. And then you have here Mega Eevee. Mega Eevee is quite the case because it's kind of like a Silvally or Narcius where all their space stats are 80, but with its ability Protea Maxima, it transforms to any of the evolutions that share the same typing of a move that you use, and those stats change to the evolution stats. So for example, if I use Bolt Switch, I'll switch into a Jolteon with this insane special attack and speed. If I use Scald or Hydro Pump, it turns into a Vaporeon. So you have to not only prepare for Mega Eevee itself, you have to think of the 8 other transformations it can switch in a matchup. Chandelure Delta is an insane mon. With the abilities, it's a very fire type with the abilities Flash Fire, Weak Armor, or Fairy Aura. It has speed of 80, but it has this insane special attack of 145 with 90 defense and special defense. This thing will break any staller that you bring. It also has an insane move pool with things like Scald, Earth Power, Energy Ball, Charge Beam, Flash Cannon, Moonblast. It's very, very strong. And then for my other deltas, we have Delta Mach, which is a very defensive ground type that has the abilities either Sap Seeker or Water Absorb. So you basically are removing one of their weaknesses and giving them an immunity with a very strong move pool of ground moves that would also like some potion moves like Gong Shot, and it has very good coverage, but also has the ability Regurgitation, which is a new Insurgent's ability that whenever it uses a status move or hits something, it attacks the opponent and deals 1/12 of their HP as collateral. Then you have Delta Milotic, which is just your ghost, your average ghost type with insane block of 100 special attack, 125 special defense, and a speed of 81. It has the abilities Regenerate, Defiant and Curse Body, but it's mostly known for using Regenerator. It's a very good basically you wisp or you toxic something, you hex, you switch out, and you have a very hard mon to KO. As for the other ones, Grottle Delta is just a ground water type, kind of like Gastrodon, and also has Storm Drain, which is a very good move on Grottle because it'll just withstand water moves. It's very tanky. It has all sorts of hazards, spikes, stealth rocks. It gets flipped on, it gets recover, it gets shore up. It's just a very strong and cheap Pokemon to use. Like really, it can fit in any team because it's the perfect tank.
Yeah, I think S talked about it last week. Where she got carried by Delta Grotto in like one of her first like Insurgents leagues. So yeah, your team just seems like a stall, like Nightmare Man, like the nightmare of like a stall player, like just having Ruin Gross and Chandelure with like Terra Fairy just seems like the biggest nightmare to deal with. And even Mega Eevee can do like a lot of crazy stuff too. I'm sure I might have to like check all your replays out because I'm sure it's just gonna be fun to see like Ruin Girls hit Head Smash or Wood Hammer and
Yeah, and I
Delta
forgot to say that
Chandelier just
Delta
hit like
Ruin Growth, besides
everything,
having a
like kill
speed of
everything with a
70,
fairy
it has
blast.
access to Rock Polish, so it can be faster than you.
And it gets doesn't it get Sword Sense too? I might be wrong. Uh, might be wrong. Oh, it doesn't. I could have sworn it does. It did. Maybe I'm just thinking of something else. But yeah,
Nothing
I
is
mean,
gonna stop that
what's gonna
thing.
stop a
It's
+2
nothing switches
Ruin
into
Growth,
it. It's
man?
gonna eat either it's gonna really eat a Head Smash.
Yeah, and even then, like it might have just like a lot of people think might think it has just like one like use, which is head smash rockhead. But even then, I mean, it gets leech seed, it gets synthesis.
Goes a very
It
long
can
way.
still
It's
bring a lot of
really
utility
hilarious
to
how
even
it
just getting
was
taunt
left
too.
to go,
Just
and I understand
it
because
goes a long way.
if it had reached me, which it was about to reach me, I would have grabbed Mega Feraligatr first. I think it's insane. I could have been possible.
Can you imagine having Mega Feraligatr and Ruin Growth in the same team?
Sorry?
But what were the Terra rules for Insurgents? What was the Terra rules, like the rules for your Terra captains in Insurgents?
First CPL was I could
for SGBL.
choose up to 3 months that added their points up to 25 to become Terra captains, and they can only choose 2 Terra types, one that was a staff and any other Terra.
Yeah, okay, that explains it, man. Because right, I see that one of your Terra captains is Chandelure with like 18 points. Like I saw a team that had, I think the highest one. Yeah, like they had two. They only had 2 Terra captains with that were combined for 13. For example, or like Chiampao and Rodriguez D were the Terra captains. So I was wondering about that. But yeah, I mean, I mean, even though like I'm sure it's just gonna be a blast to see your team, man. Still, in Insurgent. Do you want to talk about like anything else, man? Like personal or just in general? I know
surprisingly,
Diego
I'm not
Coca
that big
got
into
fired
soccer.
from the Mexican national
Football.
team. You might want to
I
maybe
do
you want to
watch
talk
it
about
from time to time,
that.
especially when it regards playoffs or my favorite team in Mexico or the men's national team. I think it was a little abrupt, the decision to fire him, but also I can understand. Well, I read that players were really uncomfortable with how things were being carried on, so I think it was for the best. It's, I don't know what to say. I've just been continuously disappointed by the performance of the Mexican team.
Yeah, it's just been like, man, what for how long now? For like almost 10 years at this point. Just a lot of disappointment. And I think 2014 in the World Cup was like the last time
and
I felt like any hope for this team. Yeah, 2014. I think I think they won the Gold Cup or La Copa Oro in 2016, but even then it was very unimpressive because I think it was the Panama semis where a lot of controversy happened there. I think where like 2 penalties that were iffy.
keeping the
And
holy
just like not
cows,
good
or how they
performances
call
from
them,
them
like the same. They keep calling
in
the same
general.
players over and over again, despite not being their best moment. It's kind of been and it's kind of frustrating. Like, why would you keep bringing
Yeah, and like their prime.
He's not a good player anymore. Like that, I could understand. I can understand. I was gonna say I can understand like
So I think,
not having any other better player out there, but
I know. You go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
It's still like there are better options. It's kinda.
No, I think for Ochoa right now, I think that just shows you how bad our young goalies are. Because at least right now, like you can argue, right? Ochoa is bad and like worse, but like he had his best season like in Europe. Like it was like a really like quote unquote bad Italian team in the oh my goodness, what is the Serie A in the Serie A? Okay. And like he was like he took the starting job from somebody. Like the goalie was injured, and he came back and like they scored like 4 goals on him. And like Ochoa, I mean he has his fault. Like he's older. Like he's like 38, I think now. But even then, like I think that just shows you how bad our young goalies are. Cause like the second best goalie we have right now is Carlos
I I
uh,
think
Acevedo, I think,
I
or
think
something like
so,
that.
but
I don't
also
know
there's
how you say his
Malagon,
last
which
name,
is not
what
the
his last
best
name is, but he plays for
goalie,
Santos, right?
but
He still plays for Santos.
he's good. I would agree it's not the same as Ochoa, but also Ochoa is too old. He should be, and there's other players like should not be brought back again. Like Raul Jimenez, he's not been the same after his incident with the surgery, or like Henry Martin, which
And
or Uriel Antuna that do nothing.
yeah, Antuna should never have been called up in the first place, man. For anything, like it's just a disappointment that they still call him up and give him like so much playing time for like no reason. I know our wingers, right, especially right now with Chucky out, like they're not that good. But like even when they're not that good, I think they're way better than Antuna because Antuna just runs around and misses goals, man, or misses like crosses, like simple crosses. Like it's just disgusting stuff, man. And I think it's more like to do with like the Liga, like not sending the players out so that they get more reps and like experience in like tougher crowds. Because you have players like Alexi Vega, like that don't want to leave Mexico. It's like, man, why do you want to
Yeah,
stay with like Chivas or go to America when you could just go to another club and maybe not get that much playing time, but like it makes you want to work harder, you know? I think that's what is wrong with like, well, quote unquote, wrong with this like Mexican player generation. Like they're just too comfortable. Like even like players that like weren't good in Europe, like maybe like Marco Fabian, for like, because he was good in Bayern Leverkusen, but he was mid. Like he still tried to be in Europe, even though like he had one good season and like he kind of fell off, but he still tried to like get to that form again. Like and like even like Chicharito, right? He stayed like with great clubs, and even when he was older, he still went to a respectable club in Europe and then come back to an easier league, until he was older. But still,
it
but like
is
now
very
you have like
frustrating,
Mexican players like
especially
in their
because
prime, just like nah, I'm gonna just stay
they can do
in the
way
Liga.
much more.
It's very frustrating. Yeah, because they're talented. Like I know one of the only ones that does want to try to go to Europe is like Luis Chavez, and he's older. Like he's like 27. I mean, midfielders can be a little bit older. They're okay with that,
You
but like
know,
it's sad that
it's
like
kind of
a 27-year-old
it's kind
wants
of
to go to Europe
disappointing.
more
Like
than like
there's
somebody that's
should be
younger and like that has more potential.
giving more time for youth to play and and become better players in general. Like they should change that. Um, the generation gap, right? They should go into trying to give more time to the youth players rather than keeping the same holy cows over and over again.
Yeah, because like that's what like even like what was it like I think 2018 was like a lot of the players we knew were like a lot older. Like Guardado was like what, like 32 at the time, and like all these other players, like, they still came back for like 2022, even though back in 2018 they were deemed too old. You know, it's just it's frustrating. Not only because, right, like you said, like they milk the same players all the time, but I think it's even sadder because like a lot of the younger guys can't reach that level that like a washed player like or a lot of people think is more washed
I
than
think
they
it's
were
more of a
before.
mafia on like
Like they can't even reach that level, you know. And I think
uh,
it's more of like
owners
a I guess
and
skill issue more than anything.
directors of like the just not giving a shit about the team and giving more interest to the money generated. I think that's the main problem. Thinking more about money rather than winning.
Yeah, because I think right now the only like three like good European players, like there's only three good European like level players. I mean, aside from Tuki, right? Because he's injured. I think that would be like Santi, right? He's killing it in the Dutch league. I mean, the Dutch league is not that hard, right? Well, compared, it's like Liga MX plus almost. Like it's a little bit harder, but I mean that's so impressive. Like he had a good campaign. Then you have Edson, same league, but he's just like world class usually, especially against like harder competition. Like I remember like Germany, like he was playing amazing in like the midfield. And even like Ochoa, like I know we can hate on him because he's so old, but he had like one of the best campaigns in like the Serie A in like half a season, and I think that's like respectable. I mean, of course, we want to see younger guys out there, but like if the younger guys are like 28 and they're not better
Yeah,
than like
for sure.
a 10-year-old, like an Ochoa that beats them by 10 years, that's more of a them issue than Ochoa issue, you know. Sadly, of course. Because like, what does Jorge Sanchez do, man? What does like all these other players
They do
do?
nothing.
Like, what does Henry Martin do aside from like trying to get at the ball, like in like clear goal situations?
Yeah,
Like, they do nothing.
they're
They don't
just dead
fight
weight to
like
be honest.
for anything. Like, they just are there. Yeah, like if you make Christian Pulisic, like he's a good player, no doubt, right? But he doesn't even get playing time in Europe. Like they made him look like Messi out there, man. I got pride in like winger Ronaldo. Like that, you should not be letting
Yeah,
like that type of competition look that good out there. It's just sad stuff.
right now
But
I
aside
don't
from
really have that
soccer,
much free
football,
time because
what
I'm
other
dedicating
things do you enjoy doing,
my
man, in your
whole
free time?
entire
And aside from
time
Pokemon too.
to studying for the fundamentals of engineering exam. Uh, that exam is for being able to achieve engineering status in Canada. Um, but aside from that, I do play Fate Grand Order. I'm really enjoying that game so much. Uh, I go down rabbit holes in YouTube. Um, and that's mostly. I play some video games from time to time. Currently, I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles. It's actually a pretty good game. I've been
What video games
thoroughly
do you play, man?
enjoying it. I haven't finished Cyberpunk 2077. I'm still trying to go through it, but I don't really have that much time because of, well, studying. Studying comes first. Um, Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm playing the
But yeah,
original, but I'm playing
are
the
you
definitive
playing it?
edition on the
Are you
Switch.
playing the original one like on the Wii, on like the Wii U, or because you are playing the original one, right?
Shulk is good, but I
Uh,
think I enjoy
what has
Ricky
been your
a
favorite
little too
Xenoblade character?
much,
'Cause I know Shulk is in it.
and
There's
I
a few
think I
Xenoblade
enjoy
characters.
probably Melia. I like her playstyle.
Yeah,
He's also very,
yeah. I
yeah,
think
but
Ricky
he's
is.
also very dumb, which
From
is
what I've
like
seen, he's pretty fan favorite. Just
super
because he's like
hilarious.
kind of cute, like kind of adorable. He's like a cute little guy. Yeah. Is there anything you wanna
Only two
maybe plug
things.
or
First one is if you
say
don't play
before
Frank Guard
we cut this
Order,
one?
like right
I
now is a
mean,
great moment to
cut
play. They just released
end
the
the episode,
second
man.
chapter of the Part 2, Chapter 6, which they've done a great, amazing job with storytelling. It's really fun game to play. And the other one is if you haven't if you haven't listened to SS episode, you should listen to that episode and then join Egg 4 when Egg 4 comes out. Exactly, yeah. Sign up to be a Subo.
Yeah, or sign up to be a replacement, right?
And play video games.
Do you wanna? Yeah, a Subo and play video juegos, right?
Oh,
Do you want to plug
you can find me in Discord
your
as Sombra
like
Arcana.
anywhere they can
Um,
find you, maybe, or
I
even like
do have a YouTube,
your
but I only have
Discord
one
username?
video and I don't
Because
plan to make
now it's
other
all
videos,
unique.
but that you can find it there as Thar Squad, as in Bulbasaur. Um, I don't really want to give more personal information as to like my LinkedIn and other things, so
Hey, just with just Discord, it's enough for
that
most
would be
people, man.
creepy.
And YouTube too. Hopefully, right? Imagine if somebody just sends you like, "Oh, I found you on LinkedIn."
Thank you
That'd
for
be
having
crazy.
me.
Yeah. I think this is all for this episode, man. Thank you for being a lovely guest. And hopefully,
No problem, it's your podcast
it
after
was
all,
fun,
and
man. It was fun.
I like
It's always good
listening.
to talk, draft league, and even like thank you for letting me ramble on about my team in low tier, man. Nah, hey, man. I
Thank you
love
very much.
listening to you explain the
Yeah,
insurgents more
maybe a
and
year and a half or something we met at
your draft in
CPBA,
general,
which
man.
I
It's awesome
kinda
to hear
retired
you, man.
from there.
Just in
I
general,
couldn't
just
handle
speak, man. Because I've known you for what, like
the
a year now, right?
some things. Alright, I'll say that, but I
Yeah,
just let's
yeah.
say my
It's a
my
lot, man. It's a
schedules
lot.
didn't match.
Sometimes. I mean, they could be good. They're all right sometimes.
It was pretty fun, but it's all about skill, right?
Yeah. And also, I can't believe I didn't forget. I forgot to ask you sooner. How did you enjoy the Pokemon Jeopardy?
have to say either
Yeah.
who's that. No, it's only one right, so I have to say
What was your favorite
Hoven because
category
I'm
if
a
you had to choose
Hoven
one?
person.
I know you want to say all five of them, but you only get to choose one.
Like who's that person, and even if I
Fine.
did like
I
put
won't.
one more eyes, it will be
I
pretty
won't hold
fun,
you
but
down to
more
just one. You can
challenging.
say, you can rank them if you want, man, or you can say your other one, your other favorite as well. Yeah, I'm planning on doing that eventually. I might make it like in three, maybe
Oh,
three more
that's
Jeopardies.
that's
I'm trying to
interesting.
make like the fifth one, every fifth one, like really hard. They're even harder than I think I showed you the first Jeopardy, right? Like the first Jeopardy board. Could be wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make them like super hard, like super niche questions about
Yeah,
competitive,
Pokédex entries would
like
be
lore,
interesting.
Pokédex, maybe prize now. Like, but I'll probably make it so
Yeah, for
when you get
sure.
it wrong, you won't lose any points, just to make it more fun. To to encourage, yeah, just to encourage
That's
people
for
to
sure.
just to put more out there, you know? Because I think it'll be fun just to like to play something where no one knows anything and they're too scared to answer.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, thanks,
Thank you.
thanks again for joining here and allowing me to talk so much, and I was glad to listen to you, man. All right, I'm gonna end that episode right now.